Welcome everybody to another episode of Dirty Thirties. And as of right now, I have full picture in sound, and I believe Brandon does too on the other side because last time we did this, a little bit of a mishap. Our computers were not playing nice, and it was an okay episode. It has the problems, but we had great guests on there, so
It wasn't an okay episode. I wouldn't say okay. I would say um, it was an episode.
I think we're gonna give you the
Don't
courtesy
get
of
me
it.
wrong. I'm happy that we could talk to the waitress and we could talk to Paul. But technology problems just made it unwatchable. I think.
I
I
don't think.
think.
Well, I went back and watched it, and yes, it's a train wreck, but it has its moments, some funny things, especially having Paul look up websites again and getting his reaction. That was fun. I feel a little bad for Waitress. She kind of got the short end of the deal. Her first episode on with us, and it was a giant piece of shit. But anyways, that was last time. This time. It's just Brandon and I. And Brandon, you're in a different location this time. You got some stuff going on. It looked like you're actually in the study or the
Yeah.
den.
Yep. There's a couch there, desk over here. Yeah. Different place. Just move things around. You know, nothing big. No big deal. Not like you, who you look like you're in a let's see, what do you look like? You look like you're in a Gauguin painting.
Very nice. All right. I'm wondering how long for people will finally catch on that your back wall and my back wall are the same, and that we're actually just sitting next to each other doing these episodes.
Well, we'll have to do the reveal in episode 100, but we
Yes.
got a while to go.
All right. So, anyways, what's going on in the world? I don't have no idea what's going on in the world. I'm not paying attention to anything, but I did see this study, and I want to talk to you about it because it kind of pertains to us and people of our age. And I don't have the facts in front of me, so I'm going to have to paraphrase, and I don't have the proper stats, but I can narrow it down to
I don't know anything about this. I just have a general gist of it, so I'm going to talk about it for as long as I can and be accurate. That sounds like a good plan.
well, it's more of a conversation piece, and as accurate as it wants to be, look it up yourselves, people, and you can find what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is that how music has such an impact on people between the young ages of your teens all the way up to your late 20s, and that it becomes the core of your memories that music are kind of attached to. Because when you hear a song, you can think back to when you first heard it, or you think of a certain age and the music you like. The study shows that people after that age, men like us in our 30s, will call back to those songs because it gives us a sense of security or a sense of feeling of those times and that kind of stuff. So the whole point is it shows like how every generation will talk about the music after them as it sucks and it's a giant piece of shit. And it's just because we're so fond of the memories during the time when we listened to our music. And I know you're a big pop music kind of guy, so when you are, driving with the kids and they want to listen to the latest, Nicki Minaj or Taylor Swift, your daughter's a little younger.
Into Nicki Minaj. That's like all that 3-year-olds love is the Anaconda song. It's like they like butts. Butts are
But
funny.
point being, I say that song is because that song has a callback to a '90s song, and does that make do you explain to the kids that that was a song in the '90s of my generation? Or the point I'm trying to get to is it make you think about songs because you're big on that generation of music. Do you listen to new music and think this sucks? I want to listen to the stuff from my 20s, or do you enjoy new music?
I enjoy new music because I think about me growing up, and if my parents made me listen to their music, I probably wouldn't have um, had a big fondness for it. See, it's like different, like you and me, because you grew up loving Led Zeppelin, and my dad liked Led Zeppelin, and so to me it's like, oh, I don't want to listen to that. That's what my parents listened to. So I'm going to listen to friggin' Snoop Dogg and Crisscross, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know. That wasn't my music, right? That wasn't of my peers and people my age and stuff. So when I'm listening to music with my kids, like music that's right now, Taylor Swift, is always on the radio and stuff like that. I don't mind it. It's all right. It's something that I can put, because I can't put on all I can't put on Eminem with my kids. I can't put on, NWA. I like to listen to that, but it's inappropriate. So listening to some of the, whatever, I don't know. We just kind of put it on like a safe station. It's not going to have any cursing or, talking about my anaconda wants, dick or whatever. I don't know what that song, how that new one goes. I know the old one, but it's not. It doesn't bother me so much. When I look back, what you're saying about, always thinking that our generation's music is the best. I don't think that the '90s music is what I probably closest connection to for me, because that's high school years and early college and whatever. It's connected to those memories, yeah, and I enjoy it. And you hear TLC No Scrubs come on, and you're like, oh yeah, here we go, house party. It's not house party music. I don't know why I said that. B.I.G. Hypnotized, something like that.
The reason why you said it is because the last time you went to a house party was in the mid '90s.
No, that's not true. I've been with you and felt like completely out of place. But okay. So anyway, a lot of the music in the '90s, love it. It's not. I wouldn't consider it's the best songs of all time. There's some really good ones in there that I think stand up. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, whatnot. But it's all about our personal connection, memories to it, rather than the music itself, right? You don't think "This Is How We Do It" is a very good song, but you hear it and you're like, yeah, and you want to dance to it,
Right, and that's the whole point of this study, is to say that your memories during the time, and these songs you call back to. And I'm not saying that our generation songs or anybody's generation songs are better than the next. It was just the whole point of we ingrain our memories to this music, and as we get older, we might not care for new music as much because it doesn't have the memory base as the music when we grew up. Kind of common sense, but here's the fact that kind of blew my mind a little bit. Didn't blow my mind, makes sense, but it's just when you stop and think about it. So when we were in high school or the mid '90s, and you didn't like the music from your dad's generation, which would have been music 20 years earlier, Led Zeppelin, the Who, the Doors, things like that. You weren't into that at all. And it's funny to think now, high school kids right now would say the same about Pearl Jam, because Pearl Jam is 23 years old to them. And so any kid now that is liking Pearl Jam or Nirvana or Smashing Pumpkins was kind of like us when we were in high school, liking music from our parents' generation. So if that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know what does.
What? NSYNC is 20 years old, I think. When you these high school kids like, oh, let's have a '90s party, and like a '90s themed party, and I don't know what they would like wear flannels like wrapped around their waist and rollerblades and shit. Like, and then NSYNC songs coming on. That was mid '90s, right?
Didn't say I want to say they were '96, '97. That was more like
close enough.
Years, yeah. The point being, yeah. So it's like kids now listening to stuff that we listen to. That's like old as shit to them. So it's kind of messed up. So I try to keep up on new music. I things I do in life, makes it so I have to listen to new music and that kind of stuff. But like I try to find things that no one else listens to, or I try to find the next thing that's going to be big, and that kind of stuff. Because I don't like things that are popular, and I always try to find things that aren't, that will become popular. So there's a lot of new music, but again, it's not popular music. Like I was all about Mumford and Sons when they before they hit it. And now it's alright. They're already like.
Of course you do. You're white. You have to like Mumford and Sons. Everyone who's white has to like Mumford and Sons.
So yeah. So it's just it's interesting. And I'm sporting tonight. I have a new shirt. I want to show it off because I'm still. It's the biggest band you've never heard of. Can you read that?
I know it's the Heartless Bastards because I've heard you talk about them before, but yes. I can't read it very well. I assume it's the Heartless Bastards because you talk about them.
It is. It's the biggest band you've never heard of. So all
they have a lead singer, right?
Right, go look them up. They're my favorite band.
They're the new version of No Doubt. They're No Doubt.
No, not even close. Nothing.
I don't even
Absolutely
know,
not.
No Doubt. That was what, they started off as like a ska band, and now they're just like regular old pop, right?
If they even still play, I know they tried to do another album, but I think they're a band that everyone forgot about.
Yeah, that marriage killed two bands, right? Bush and No Doubt ruined
It
them
did.
both.
Yeah, so a successful marriage killed two bands. So that's kind of funny. So maybe if they get divorced, those bands will come back. They both put out albums in the last year or two, and they're horrible. So
Probably,
I don't know.
probably. Too bad that Avril Lavigne marriage to Chad Kroeger didn't split up Nickelback. That would have been an ideal situation.
But I think didn't they just get divorced, or they just I
I,
don't I
maybe,
fuck if I know. That's one band
maybe.
I just refuse to follow. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Speaking of like following pop music and everything like that, you kind of had to when you were doing improv, right? Popular culture, popular TV shows, news, music, because that's probably what people are going to call out when you ask for suggestions. So you kind of have to be aware of, what's popular, because if someone calls out "Heartless Bastards," for a musical theme, and you don't know it, then you look like an idiot, right? So you got to have a pretty wide palette when it comes to musical tastes, entertainment, movies, and news.
well, yeah, I mean, I was fortunate in our group because I had you and Jeff, who were pop culture phenoms and knew everything. So I've just dished that off to you guys. But yeah, I mean, you gotta stay up on it. There's just so much now. There's just so much new stuff happening all the time, and you just gotta find out what you like and go with it. Like, all right, so this is kind of dating myself a little bit, and you'll know the band. Like, I never listened to them until yesterday. I've heard a couple of their songs on the radio, knew what they were, knew who was in the band and that kind of stuff. Didn't follow them because I automatically put them in a category of like new shitty pop band, rock band, or whatever. And I just didn't care. I didn't think it fit my age. I know there's certain bands where you're just kind of like, yeah, I guess I'm a little too old for this band. Even when you're in your 20s, you're like, it's not for me, kind of thing. Um, and it's kind of like you and Menudo. I think you kind of lost.
you, you son of a bitch.
But so it's until I watched this documentary, and I was like, oh, they're kind of good. I can kind of dig a little bit, and that's 30 Seconds to Mars.
Jared Leto's band.
Exactly. And so I always kind of just put him in a kind of like, oh, it's the dude that I disliked from My So-Called Life. And, it's his band because he's rich and can have a band and stuff. But documentary is really good, and their struggles with the record company and stuff. And now the guy is making movies again. So I gave them a chance, and I was pleasantly surprised at the album. I didn't hate it, and it was pretty decent. There's a couple catchy songs on there. So.
Is it their most recent album, or is it like one of their first ones?
It was the one before their most recent. Like they just put out another one. It's the one before that because that was what the documentary focused on. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I
It's
tend to
on
do that. Like,
Netflix. That's on
yeah.
Netflix.
So like whenever I discover a band, I try to immediately listen to all their albums before because you always hear the one popular song. But I try to listen to all their albums, especially early stuff, to see if there's anything else I like. And if there isn't, then I'm sure I'll like that one song. And if I end up liking an album, well, great, I got a new band I like. But I don't know. I'm just searching for inspiration right now, and seeing a documentary about a guy who's relatively my age and just playing music and that kind of stuff. It's a little inspiring, so I'm giving it a shot.
So he's not like Keanu Reeves and his band, or the Bacon Brothers, or Russell Crowe trying to like have a band. They're pretty good.
He actually has some talent besides just being a pretty face and a decent actor and stuff. He's got some musical talent, but his brother's a drummer, and he's got some real talent. So they were gonna open my eyes, and I was like, okay, these guys can play, so let's give them a shot and stuff. So I don't know, something different. I'm just trying to again find new inspiration. I think if there was any questions I could ask my musical heroes would be, how do you keep inspired as you get older? It's one thing to have to put out albums because that's your job and you get paid and record companies make you. But I think it's also like if that's just what you keep doing, how you keep rejuvenating yourself to be creative when you get older and you're like, does it even matter anymore? Does people even listen to my music? So.
Well, I think the ones that are talented are the ones that have to answer that question, right? Because someone who's really a one-hit wonder. Well, they don't have to keep reinventing themselves and keep staying up because nobody cares about them after 5 years, 3 years even.
1 year nowadays, shit.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's here and gone. But like if you take Pearl Jam for example, they've lasted several decades now and have had you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So Eddie did the ukulele album and done a lot of like musical scores and stuff like that and just sort of trying new things and some's good, some not the classic sound that you're used to, but because he's talented, he's able to sustain that throughout the course of a career. Whereas, I'm trying to think of a '90s band, Dishwalla. Dishwalla had one album, and it's not like they're putting out an album right now. They may be, but nobody knows. And they don't have to say, okay, well, how do we keep our creative drive? Well, they've probably all moved on to different things because after the second album, we were done with them. It's like, okay, how many times can you play Counting Cars or Closing Time? I don't know which song was theirs. I just remember the name Dishwalla. But it's like the truly talented ones will find a way to keep inspired and maybe even change. Even Taylor Swift, right? She started off as a country singer, and then she got really popular, and had these songs that were more pop than country. And now this most recent one is just completely different than the first stuff that she first started off. She's not even classified as country anymore. But you have to admit she's talented. She, songwriter, artist, and she is able to traverse those different genres and come up with, the themes may be the same, but she's able to keep coming out with stuff, and it's new and interesting and catchy, So who's to say? Who's to say?
That's really the trick, is just to write catchy stuff and get people singing and dancing. I have a story about a '90s band that I had a run-in with 2 years ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. I was in a little city, not a little city, decent-sized city in Iowa, and Candlebox was playing.
Candlebox.
Candlebox was playing, and after the show, I happened to be just at this small bar where a lot of people I knew were hanging out at, and I was just hanging out. No big deal. It's not a place that many people went to, just kind of hole in the wall. But it was close to the venue, and turns out the band come back to the bar because some people I knew met the band, whatever, and brought them back, and it's all part of where they worked at the arena and stuff. And they brought them to the bar, and I'm just hanging out, whatever. And and I wasn't trying to be a dick or anything. I'm just hanging out, minding my own business, and I'm talking to these people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Candlebox is here," and blah blah blah. And they're like, "Don't you want to get your picture taken with Candlebox?" And I was just,
that's the dumbest question I've ever.
Yeah, they were really excited, and it's like, cool. They're all into it because it's some quote-unquote famous people, or people who had fame, rock stars, that kind of stuff. But they were just like, "Oh my God, don't you want to get your picture with taking with Candlebox?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "Fuck Candlebox." And they said the name of the lead singer, and they're like, "Yeah, don't you want to meet, whatever his name is?" I was like, "No, fuck him. I don't want to meet him."
Who the hell knows the name of the lead singer of Candlebox?
Oh yeah, well they did because the guy was standing right with them. He was behind me and I didn't know it. And they were trying to set it up hey, turn around and get your picture taken, kind of thing. And I was just like, fuck that guy and fuck Candlebox. I don't give a shit. I was just like, no, why would I? Because I said that. I was like, why would I want to do that? And so lo and behold, the guy's standing here, and I turn around, I was like, he's standing there, and I was like, oh, you the lead singer? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all right then. And we just kind of looked at each other because I'm pretty sure he didn't appreciate me saying he could go fuck himself.
He probably respected you more because they probably have all kinds of people just oh, they're getting a picture with them, I'm going to get a picture with them too. And damn well that a lot of them didn't know who the name of the lead singer is of Candlebox, right? But they're oh, I want to post this to Facebook, me and a famous person, so they'll get in line and do it and not really know anything about them. At least you were honest and say, no, I'm good.
And I wasn't like mean when I said no, you know, I was like, fuck that, I don't want to get my picture taken. Because I thought it meant like having to get up out of my chair and walk across the room and like deal with someone that I didn't care about. So yeah, we looked at each other. So we ended up fist bumping, and then reluctantly, both of us, we actually did do a picture together, and I have it, and it's pretty fucking funny because like you just tell like both of us don't want to be in this picture, but we kind of did it as a joke now because it was pretty funny. Um, but then he was happy because I was like, here's some people, and they're talking as girls and that kind of stuff. And I just kind of laughed because I'm like, these guys were, I mean, they're almost 40 by now, and they, you know, still rocking out, playing their hit and that kind of stuff. But everything was cool. I stopped and I thought, like, okay, they come back to a shitty bar in Iowa, you know, and you know, shitty by approximation, just a tiny little bar in a small town, that kind of thing. And but I was thinking to myself, but like, they were really into it. Like, they really wanted to be in this bar and that kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh man, they haven't really given up the lifestyle yet. You know, it's still kind of trolling the bars looking for the groupies kind of situation. And I was like, there isn't a whole lot here, so they're in trouble. But lead singer wasn't so bad. The rest of the band was trying pretty hard to find some girls, and I was just like, okay, so I guess being a rock star never ends, even if no one's heard of you or doesn't know your name, but you're in a band that just got done playing at the local outdoor arena or whatever it's called. So.
Yeah, well, if people can get on their phone and ask Siri who you are, and it comes back with a result, they'll be like, "Oh wow, I'm gonna go hang out with that guy."
I think so. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, I don't know his name. Yeah, whatever. I don't even remember their song. I don't know.
We used one of their songs in the show, didn't we?
Probably. We used a
I
lot
don't
of
remember
songs.
which one it was. Candlebox, or Collective Soul. One of those two. They're
Yeah,
probably the same.
probably. I don't know.
Or
Aren't they all the same at this point?
Silverchair, Candlebox, um,
Dishwalla.
Soul, Dishwalla. Um, who knows, man? MC Hammer.
He didn't do a whole lot of rocking in the '90s there.
He was too legit to quit, though. I mean, keep it going.
Well, we're not too legit to quit, that's for sure. So that's my whole thing about music tonight. I thought found it very interesting. So, um, is there a song that like when you hear it, it just puts you back in the place? Let me paint a picture for you. You tell me the song, I'm going to paint a picture. It's you, 19, 20 years old. You got like a flannel, but it's not like a '90s flannel. It's just more just nice to you know, kind of one color flannel. Jeans are a little baggy. It's probably blue color. You got your backpack over your shoulder, maybe an MSU baseball hat on, maybe MSU t-shirt, kicking it in your white Nikes, walking through campus, saying hi to all your friends, getting ready to go to class, and you're just happy to be there. What's a song that comes to mind that would be on your Walkman at that time? But you were kind of
Wow.
guy, you
It
might
was
have
at
had an
least a
iPod when it.
Discman. No, it was at least a Discman. At the time. I don't think I got my first iPod till like 2002. Um, the I the song that takes me back to freshman year of college is "Getting Jiggy with It." That was pretty big during the times, freshman year when you're going from house party to frat party to just all around, and it comes on. Everybody just gets out there and starts shaking it up. Getting Jiggy with It's one. Notorious B.I.G. Hypnotized. That's another one. Um, I don't know, like just around that era, that kind of stuff. Really takes me back. I can't. Those two songs. Well, Hypnotized. Always, always when it comes up in the car, gotta pump it up. Pump it up. Getting Jiggy with It, I got sick of after like a couple of years, but I'm starting to come back around to it where I can appreciate it again because I haven't heard it in so long. So there's that. Um, this is so stupid. um, but what's I don't even know. Oh God, what is it? It's a really dumb one, but it makes me laugh. I'll see if I think of it. But is there one that is there songs that bring you back to that time besides your own? Oh, I think you froze. All right. Well, I think Spice Girls, of course. If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Everybody knows that song. Are you back? Are you back yet? Nah, you still froze. Yeah, okay. I can just keep naming naming songs. TLC, No Scrubs, Waterfalls. Um, Maybe you're not frozen and you're just messing with me to see how many things I can name off. I can name off a lot. Um, oh, here's the song I was thinking of: Salt and Pepper. What a man! What a man! Or Shoop, 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 Doop, Shoop. That's a good one. That's a good classic one. Um, anything from the '90s. Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. There's a good one. Um, hey, there he is.
Hey,
Hey,
sorry, the guy from Candlebox showed up, started kicking my ass.
did he? He was like, I have nothing better to do on a Monday night but to troll Google Plus and look at all these shows. And I heard my name. I didn't even hear my name because you can't even remember it. But I'm angry with you, man. We shared some times. We shared a glass of tequila and posted a Facebook page post together.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
so
so I was just rattling off a bunch of names of songs that take me back while you were on your break. How
thank you.
about you? What songs take you back?
Whenever I hear California Love, I
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
remember specifically cruising home from high school in my blue 1988 Chevy Corsica, and I had a broken driver's seat, so it automatically kind of like swooped me down. And so I would drive with my hand up, so I just kind of like had that going, like even though, you think you'd do that to be cool, but I automatically had to because my seat was kind of broken that way. And I could just remember like driving and it's summertime and the song playing. So every time I hear that song, I can remember the exact moment in my car cruising, listening to that song.
Absolutely.
And then,
Good one.
yeah, the songs your name, like of course, Notorious B.I.G. was huge, and I wasn't even really into rock and roll hardcore at that point yet, and kind of late high school, I guess when I started getting into Pearl Jam and stuff, I was already like 5, 6 years late to the party on that one, so that was typical me. But I remember like anything Snoop Dogg, just huge, everything back at that time. So
I think that was when rap really started to take off with mainstream like suburban kids like us.
oh yeah.
It was cool. It wasn't like NWA in the late '80s where you had to like steal a cassette tape from Tower Records to get your hands on it. It was, this was, you know, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg were on MTV,
Well, they were
and they
socially
were
acceptable.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and it made it
So
fun.
another big one was Wu-Tang, Method Man. That was
Oh, Wu Tang,
huge
yeah,
right
for
after high
sure.
school. Yeah. So,
ODB.
yep. And then when he crossed over with Mariah, then it was socially acceptable to like to
Once you
to
sing with
socially
Mariah, you're pretty much golden.
yeah, it was socially acceptable for housewives and white girls, rich white girls, to know who Old Dirty Bastard was and to think he was cool. So that's the power of music. And if anything we've talked about tonight is that music is a very powerful thing. It can take you back in time to good memories, sad memories, helps you reflect. So maybe the point of tonight is when you hear new music, give it a chance because it's creating memories for the new generation, especially like you, Brandon. You have children, so the music you're exposing them to from the womb until they get to be our age, it's going to shape their lives. So if you do anything tomorrow, maybe for me and the fans of this show, you get your two kids together in the car and you throw in a little ODB or you throw in a little getting jiggy with it and you teach them something about when you were in college and the music you listen to and just see if they like it. So that way as they get older, they'll have that memory of when they hear that song, they'll be like, oh, Dad liked this song maybe 20 years ago. That was crazy. So,
Yeah.
um,
When my son was probably about 2 or 3, I used to put on "Shimmy Shimmy Ya" by ODB before he could really understand what the lyrics meant and stuff like that. He loved it. Like if he was like in the car, maybe he was a little bit younger than that. But he's in the car and he's crying, and I would pump it on. Ding, 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 ding. And then he would just go nuts, like in his car seat, just bopping back and forth. I was like, I'm a terrible parent, but this is awesome. This is hilarious. So Beastie Boys too. I put that on for him, and he was down with that. So, um, hey, it worked. That's another one that takes me back. The whole Sabotage. That
Oh yeah.
yeah, ill
Yep.
communication, or all that stuff. That takes me back to college for sure. But yeah, ODB, rest in peace.
All right. So before we sign off for tonight, and I can go listen to music and get balance in my life, let's give us the old just the tip of the day and inform us, Brandon. Give us something good tonight.
It sounds like you gave us a really good tip of the day, which was,
I kind of did. That's like
take a
twice I've
good.
done that. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of pissed all over my parade here, but anyway. Um, yeah, it is really easy to discover new music by going to Pandora. Pandora is something I've been using for like 10 years now, and
Oh,
my
I want to cut you off right now. I want to tell you my fight with Pandora. I'm glad you brought that up. So, the old Gemini, I'm fortunate enough to have all my music on all the music service, iTunes, Rhapsody, SoundCloud, you name it, it pretty much will show up. Spotify, it's a big one. Really proud to have all my music out there, so you can go look it up. Look up the Gemini, find me. All my albums are out there. But Pandora, so these sons of bitches. So they have it they had it closed off to any non, I guess, contracted artists or any big label artists. You couldn't have a station on Pandora. And then they finally decided, okay, we're going to open it up so other bands, indie bands, can have a station, that kind of thing. So it was like almost 2 years ago that this started. I had to submit my stuff and blah, blah, blah. Then this past year, the submissions were finally being reviewed and all that kind of stuff. Mind you, I've gone on Pandora, and you can type in just about any piece of shit, and it's on there. And finally, I get my letter back from Pandora telling me that, unfortunately, they want to let me know that the Gemini has not been considered for a station on Pandora. So I have since then, and I was never really membered or used it much to begin with, but I don't listen to Pandora, and I'm not saying anybody out there shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't personally until they let the Gemini have his own station. So there you go.
boycott Pandora, even though it's a really nice service and it's really good for discovering new music. That's how I primarily discover like new artists that are similar in tone to the older stuff that I listen to. But
But every service has it. I mean, Spotify.
yeah, iTunes Radio does that.
So,
Rhapsody.
and the Gemini is on all those. So by all means, listen to all those out there. But
And you get more money if you listen to all those other ones rather than Pandora. I think some very popular musician posted their residual check from Pandora and said, "Hey, I had 1 million plays in this past quarter, and I'm making $600 off of that." Now, if those were record sales, he'd be in the millions, right? He was just making a case that it's really not financially beneficial for artists to make money, through those services. It's good for discovery, and then people might say, "Oh, I'm really interested in this guy," and then buy their album later, possibly. But it's not you can't make a living off of just the money from streaming.
Part of going full circle for tonight's episode, part of the Jared Leto 30 Seconds to Mars documentary that I watched was talking about the music business. It focuses on the music business and how it's, music business is over and, artists don't get paid anymore and all the record deals that artists have. And there's a lot of different artists on that documentary talking about it and a lot of executives, and they give some really interesting insight how just because you have a record deal doesn't mean you're actually going to make any money. And they show how bands actually end up owing the record company even after they have 1 million seller and that kind of stuff. And so as someone who gets royalty checks from all of those music services, it's not a whole lot, and I can see how a band that sells 1 million records or has 1 million downloads doesn't make that much money on it because it's pennies on the dollar, if that. But hindsight, it's still pretty cool to have your music out there for someone like me that people can look it up, and it legitimizes me, even though I'm not, getting 1 million plays and that kind of stuff. But Pandora can just fucking suck it for all I care. So
They can suck it. But
I'll listen to Spotify, even though Taylor Swift doesn't like Spotify.
yeah. I mean, truthfully, you don't have to buy music anymore, right? You can just listen to it on these stations. It's very rare that I will buy an actual CD.
You know the irony when like young people talk about Pandora or they talk about the iMusic or iTunes radio and that kind of stuff, is they're like, yeah, there's this like cool thing where you can just like put it on and just like listen and they play like the new songs and you can like find new bands and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's funny to remind them that they have that and it's in their car and it's been in their car for 50 years and it's called a radio. But what's sad is, and this is for all the people that work for radio stations and all that, is that radio stations only play like 50 songs now in the rotation a day. They don't play anything new. They don't venture out, that kind of stuff. So like, obviously, iTunes and Pandora is like the new radio stations, but it's just funny how people think like, oh my God, it's this whole new concept, and it's like, no, that's actually what radio used to be, and radio used to be really fucking cool, but it sucks now. So.
That's right. Well, hey, case in point, I've got two of the most recent CDs in my collection, both by the Gemini, and guess what? The wrapper's still on them. Not because I don't listen to them, but I've got the digital versions of them in my iTunes, on my phone, in my car. I don't need to open this. I can keep this in, well, let's not show that one. I can keep these in perfect condition if there's a collector's item someday or whatever. If my grandkids one day are like, oh, hey, what's this? What's old grandpa got? And they open it up, and you by then you've been dead for 40 years. So they're like, oh, hey, Gemini, that's a pretty good. There's a pretty good album there. It's like, hey, guess what? I knew this guy. I made movies with this guy. I wrote some of these. No, I didn't write any songs. That's bullshit. But I know this guy. I know him. So I can enjoy the artwork. I don't have to open them to enjoy the music.
And I can only hope that in the years to come, maybe when your son is a teenager, maybe he's in his 20s, and I finally get to see him again after all these years, you'll be like, son, would you like to get your picture taken with the Gemini? And he looks at you and says, Dad, who the fuck is the Gemini, and why do I want to get my picture taken with him? That's all I can hope.
And then you'll fist bump.
And then we will fist bump. So on that note, thank you for watching another episode of Dirty 30s. I can watch a few of the old ones. Last week was a giant fucking train wreck, and we got some other ones on there pretty funny. And come back and see us for some new ones. We're going to try to keep cranking them out. So until then, Brandon, have a good night, and I will talk to you all out there in the world later.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.